Hello friends, welcome to another discussion with me, Devon of InnerSpark, your resource for aligning with nature's wisdom. Okay, today, are you ready for it? Super suspenseful. Today, I am getting into the mindset of rest and nervous system care. The most important thing that I invite you to hold as we're going through this together is that this is not about like scaring us with the negative health impacts of chronic stress. And this is not intended to add like more things to your to-do list. Like, oh great, I have to like pencil in resting and nervous system care, whatever the hell that is. I'm not doing either of those. This is an invitation to view rest as more of a mindset, more of a conscious choice, an attitude, an energy, rather than something to do. Because the truth is, we don't actually have to do anything to switch ourselves out of that kind of stress response switched on mode and to rest. It truly is more of a mindset and an energy. So we're gonna get into what that is and what that looks like. But first we're gonna just kind of like brush up a little bit on stress, on the nervous system, kind of like what that is, what it means, why it matters. And then I will share at the end some really beautiful invitations to kind of shift your perspective and to empower you to realize that even in those times of stress, when it feels like, just like everything is caving in on you, there's still so much that you can influence, and that there are really profound, powerful ways that you can care for yourself and maintain your inner joy, your resiliency, your immunity, etc. So let's dive in. Let's get to it. Arguably, every single dis-ease, so the absence of ease, whether this is a disease that has been diagnosed, or it is the absence of ease in your system with some symptoms that you're experiencing. So every single dis-ease that the human will experience physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, has its roots in and or is made worse by stress. So every single dis-ease the human experiences either has its roots in stress and is made worse by stress. So there's no escaping this. It is here. It is a negatively impacting part of the human experience. Did you like that convoluted sentence? Stress, both long-term and short-term, creates a whole range of impacts in the system on all levels of our system, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And this cascade of stress responses is actually quite intricate and beautiful. Our bodies are just so sophisticated and awe-inspiring. So we have the stressor, and in response we immediately go to work creating this cascade and flow of hormonal responses with cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, etc. And they do their beautiful thing, they surge through our system, and in response to that, so in the presence of these hormones that are the response to some stressor, things like our heart rate and blood pressure increase, our breathing changes, normal and smooth and efficient operation of our digestive system and our other hormonal systems kind of go bye-bye. They stop smoothly doing their thing for a while. Our ability to think and feel clearly diminishes, and so much more. And so while this may not sound like a huge deal, like, oh, okay, so like my blood pressure increased for a little bit, or like my digestive system slowed down, okay, it actually like, it kind of is. It's a big deal. And it's made worse by the fact that, you know, this compounds over time. And many of us are kind of just living in this baseline stress place daily. And so that is just the way that we're operating daily. And this creates like this backlog of normal functions of the body that need to take place because our body is too busy entertaining the stress. It's too busy sorting through the stress response and all of those things, and like and thinking that it needs to prepare itself to like fight. You know, like it's do or die time, because it doesn't know the difference between running from a tiger or getting angry at your coworker. Like it doesn't know the difference. And so when the body is in this switched on place and it is preparing for battle, normal just daily housekeeping things that the body must do get put on the back burner. And so it starts to backlog. You know, and just like these basic things, like think about it, all the things your body's doing right now, those things must keep going. And those things give you the ability to maintain your health, to think clearly, to feel clearly, to have stability, to show up powerfully in all of the roles that you play in your life, whether you're a parent or a leader, a business owner, whatever that looks like, right? Like this is your suit in the house that you live in to do all of those other things. And if it's chronically trying to do this whole stress thing, it's not doing the other things it needs to do. And so over time, like, yeah, that's not good. Things add up. Disease. Why am I having such a hard time saying disease? Disease results. Okay. And like I said, these are things that are like diagnosable. So many digestive issues, hormonal issues, so many things like that. Anxiety, chronic fatigue, autoimmune, or things like just those pesky kind of mystery symptoms that are normalized and part of your life. So things like sitting in traffic, I mentioned, arguing with a coworker, ingesting substances that your body doesn't digest well, continually consuming information, skimping on sleep, abusing stimulants. These are all examples of stress in the system and all examples of things that deplete our reserves and assault the nervous system. So if we think of ourselves as having this like inner reserve, right? You can think of it as like your inner savings account. Or for me, I always get this image of like Winnie the Pooh with his honey jar, and it's that honey jar is inside me, and I want to keep that nice and full. Because when I think of my reserves and my resiliency, it's like just this kind of golden nectar that is there to sustain me and for me to draw upon in times of those stresses, because like we're human and we are alive on planet Earth in 2022 and stuff's gonna happen. We're gonna need to pull from our reserves, and that's fine. That's what it's there for. But we need to also replenish it so that when we need to pull from it, like a savings account, we're not putting ourselves in a negative balance. And those things that we might think are energizing, like caffeine and sugar, or those really brutal workouts that you actually aren't enjoying doing, that you might feel like are energizing, are actually just depleting more. So those things especially are like pulling even more from the already depleted negative balance savings account, honey jar, whatever image is working for you at this point. Savings account, honey jars, just roll with me. So what do we do? We must consciously, intentionally, consistently choose actions and thoughts and behaviors and practices that replenish our inner reserve. This helps us to build resiliency and immunity and clarity and long-term joy. So this brings us to this notion that it is an attitude. it's a mindset. It's a choice. And when we can kind of understand ourselves a little bit better and understand that, being in this switched on stress response place is normal, it's healthy, it's part of what we were designed to do in little bursts, in little phases. We can appreciate that. We can understand what's going on, how it's impacting us. And then we can begin to ensure that we're supporting the other side of that coin, which is this kind of this attitude of rest and caring for this nervous system that is doing so much for us, that is so overworked. And another thing for us to consider and remember on this topic of stress and nervous system is that stress can also be positive, but it's important to remember that the body doesn't always fully know the difference, and the response in the body to that stimulation is not all that different. So positive stress, we have things like appropriate and enjoyable exercise, excitement, anticipation, trying something new, sex, working really hard on a project that you love, etc. The body responds slightly differently, but it's really kind of all the same. And when we think about it, we're really meant to kind of just have these like gentle waves of like stress and then like not stress and a little bit more stress and not stress. We're not meant to kind of just be here all the time or just trekking up a stress mountain of creating even more of it. There's meant to be these little waves, because stress is necessary. It's healthy. It's important. It's good. It helps us to grow. It helps us to heal. It is an important part of the human experience, but we want it to be followed by periods of the other side of that coin. So experiencing both sides of that coin, stress and rest. We need to go from both with ease, actually. And that's actually a sign of a really balanced, healthy system is able to kind of do both with ease, shift in and out. And, I get it. Telling somebody to rest who is chronically stressed out and just trying to make it is like insulting, right? Especially in these times. These last 2 years have been so challenging. Regardless of how you feel politically and any of that stuff, they've been challenging. And so really now more than ever, it is so important to reclaim our ability to have this attitude, this mindset of rest and nervous system care. And so like I said in the beginning of this, rather than adding tasks to our to-do list or scaring us with the negative impacts of chronic stress, I am simply inviting us to open our perspectives and our awareness to maybe adopt some new, different ways of being. Yeah? So while in that switched on stress mode, it can feel really like we've lost control. And one of the impacts of stress is that kind of like tunnel vision, because we're just like focusing on surviving, right? Like getting rid of the threat. And that really impacts our ability to think clearly and to be creative and to be solutions oriented. And so that kind of just keeps the cycle going. So I wanted to just share some invitations with you to keep in mind so that when we're in those places, we can see what we actually do influence and how really subtle changes can make some profound differences. So a lot of this is just about the way that we're engaging with ourselves and the world and the stress itself. Okay? So be selective about what you consume, because it all must be digested. Everything that we receive through the senses has to be digested. So any sights, right? Like TV, media, images, anything we hear, music, sounds, anything we smell, textures, foods, experiences, emotions, all of that has to be digested. And so every input creates a response. I talked about this last week when I was discussing the principle of cause and effect, and that really applies to this. There's a lot that happens around us that we can't necessarily control. But when it comes to what we can and what we're consuming through the senses, where might you be able to limit or remove things that aren't supporting you? I've already talked about really being mindful of your attitude and your thoughts, and this is probably the most important aspect of what I've shared today. So if you just like turn this off or forget about everything else, please remember that. Being mindful of your attitude and your thoughts over time, that's going to have the greatest impact on your that inner reserve, that inner resiliency, that ability to rest and switch out of that switched on nervous system, to switch out of that place and to come to the other side of the coin, the restful side. No one else controls what's in your head except you. And that's really empowering. And I have a lot of resources on my blog at InnerSpark.life about this, about energy maintenance and being aware of how you're running your energy. And we're actually going to be getting into simple energy healing techniques and all of these things in the InnerSpark membership next month, February. Be choosy about your circle and your boundaries and those people that might feel depleting or unsaid boundaries that would make your life so much easier. We did a wonderful podcast, my partner and I, last month, and there's a blog post about boundaries and setting boundaries. And again, as I said, so another invitation I'm sharing, but a little caveat first. As I said, the mindset and the attitude of rest is really important. However, engaging in meaningful activities that really are like the cherry on top of this, like meditation, breathing exercises, restorative or yin yoga, snuggling with animals and or people, and of course, just like sitting and doing nothing. Those are all really wonderful, wonderful practices. And if they're new to you, if any of this is new to you, and at first it can feel very uncomfortable, almost scary to begin practices like that when we've been switched on for so long. It's like all of that momentum has been built up. And so then to just come to a halt and try something like yin or restorative yoga. I mean, I remember years and years ago when these things were new to me and I wanted to just like run out of my freaking skin. I was like, I am gonna lose my mind. I can't just sit here and do this. This is outrageous. It was like, it felt terrifying. It felt like I just wanted to just rip my skin off and run, flee. And so that's normal, completely normal. There's nothing wrong with you. And meet yourself where you are with compassion. And, your system's been working really hard for probably a long time. And it took time to get it to that place of being so keyed up, being so on, that it's going to take some time to bring it back down. Just a few last ones for you, little bonus ones. Practice that attitude of restoration and nervous system care. It truly is a mindset. So release the need to rush, to hurry, to be productive all the time, to override the needs of your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. I think that we have gotten so good at that, and it starts when we're little, this like overriding of everything from the neck down to really just kind of live from here. And so as best you can get out of that. And it's simple, like if you need to pee, get up and go as soon as you feel that urge. If you're thirsty, have a drink of water or something. So just like getting back into that place of letting yourself know, like, I hear you, I'm here, and I'm meeting your needs. Because not doing those things is a stressor. It creates this like, oh my goodness, what? So yes, and we've been working with things like this in the InnerSpark membership all of this month. It's been really awesome. Last one, my probably favorite. Learn to align with your own internal seasons and observe the invitation of the external ones as well. So nature has given us a blueprint for optimal living, and all we have to do is follow it. That's it. It sounds so simple because it is. We've just really, for the last, especially a couple 100 years, have gotten really good at overriding that also. Gotten really good at ignoring it. But the truth is, it is the way we were designed to live. Observe nature and begin to align with her wisdom. It will provide a sense of permission and inspiration to have your own cycles of rest and acceleration and action and slowing down, just as she does. Okay? So, the bottom line is you have tremendous influence over your ability to rest and to care for your nervous system, and it doesn't have to look like adding more or doing something. It is really a journey of knowing yourself, of observing yourself, and of choosing a mindset and an attitude and an energy of rest, of listening, of caring for the nervous system, of experiencing the other side of the coin of the stress, which is the rest. So that's it for today, friends. Thank you so much. And if you enjoyed today's talk, I invite you to subscribe and be sure to share with a friend that you think might also benefit. I love hearing from you. I'm not just saying that. I truly, truly do. So please share any questions or insights or feedback. Be sure to sign up for my newsletter so we can stay in touch that way as well. Visit innerspark.life/free-stuff for loads of resources such as guided meditations, self-assessments, and quizzes. Visit the apothecary to see all of our flower essences, sign yourself up for a single magic session with me, and of course, if you are ready to go deeper, I really invite you to join us in the InnerSpark membership. And I will see you next time. Mwah!